Good morning from Fast Company. Here's our daily look into what's driving today's creative business leaders. The 9 to 5 is fading, replaced by a fragmented cycle of early logins, late-night pings, and weekend catch-up. Microsoft's latest Work Trend Index shows the infinite workday is no longer an edge case. It's the norm for many knowledge workers. Unfortunately, it seems the pandemic-era triple peak work pattern, morning, afternoon, and an evening spike, has stuck. After-hours activity is rising. Meetings after 8 p.m. are up 16% year over year, and by 10 p.m., nearly one-third of active workers are back in their inboxes. Weekends are not off limits. Among those working weekends, about 20% say they check email before noon on Saturday and Sunday. During the week, prime focus windows are being eaten alive. Half of meetings land between 9 and 11 a.m. and 1 and 3 p.m., the very hours when many people are naturally sharpest. What feels like productivity is quietly fueling burnout, chaos, and replaceability. The risk is fatigue and focus. When communication never sleeps, neither does context switching, a leading cause of mental exhaustion. Microsoft's telemetry finds employees are interrupted on average every 2 minutes during core work hours, adding hundreds of pings a day among heavy communication users. It's no surprise that nearly half of employees, 48%, and more than half of leaders, 52%, say work feels chaotic and fragmented. Samantha Madhosingh, a leadership consultant and executive coach with a background as a psychologist, says the issue is exacerbated by flexi working, while working remotely and trying to do it all. She says remote working makes it difficult for folks to have the strong structure and boundaries around their workday. And I see people really struggling. They're struggling to remain organized, to stay focused, and to not burn out. At Lifehack Method, we've seen this up close as we coach busy professionals to reclaim their time and do meaningful, fulfilling work. When new clients arrive, most are drowning in what feels like normal work, like an overflowing inbox, constant notifications, and a booked-up calendar. We'll ask them, when's the last time you had 2 uninterrupted hours to do your actual job? The answer is usually nervous laughter. But when they start putting up strategic boundaries, the turnaround is dramatic. Here's how to set new boundaries around the infinite workday so that you can not only survive, but thrive. What frontier firms do differently? Some 53% of leaders say productivity must climb, yet 80% of the global workforce reports lacking the time or energy to do their jobs. That mismatch, rising demand versus human bandwidth, creates a capacity gap that organizations are racing to close. Microsoft's frontier firms, which are early adopters deploying AI across the org, report better sentiment and headroom. 71% of workers at these firms say their company is thriving versus 37% globally, and 55% say they can take on more work versus 20% globally. Many leaders plan to upskill existing employees, 47%, and use AI as digital labor, 45%. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella repeatedly posted on LinkedIn in August 2025, highlighting new AI tools that free people from drudgery and give them more time for high-impact work. He wrote that GPT-5 integrated into Microsoft 365 Copilot has become part of his everyday workflow, adding a layer of intelligence across apps, and praised the new equals Copilot parenthesis function in Excel that lets users analyze, generate content, and brainstorm directly in the grid. But AI is only part of the fix. It can automate tasks, but it can't make your choices for you. Your scarcest asset isn't talent, it's time. Go a month without clear goals or let each week fray into constant notifications, and you quietly become easier to replace. That's because reactive work, jumping at every @mention or ping, keeps you busy without moving the needle. Push back on norms for big results. Teams that tame the infinite workday reject the normal flow of work and actively redesign their calendars. For example, Shopify periodically purges calendars of recurring meetings with more than 2 people. Meta and Clorox have meeting-free days. Dropbox has core collaboration hours, a 4-hour block of synchronous time across its workforce that relieves the pressure of all-day meetings and lets employees decline meetings outside this window. GitLab runs on asynchronous workflows, a favorite trick here at Lifehack Method to reduce urgency and alleviate stress. If you're not in a position to flip the switch company-wide, here are some individual power moves. Swap meetings for screencasts. Most 30-minute info transfer meetings could have been an email, or at least a shorter meeting. Record a Loom or Clipchamp, send it off, and let people listen at 1.5 times speed. Boom, you just gifted yourself and your team back half an hour. Trade one-to-ones for weekly office hours. You become more accessible, employees get a pressure valve for urgent problems, and you solve a pile of small issues in 2 to 5 minutes instead of bloating everyone's calendar with half-hour blocks. The best leaders use office hours as a speed bump. If someone really needs a private one-to-one, they'll earn that time after showing up in office hours first. Set a win-win communication policy. Uncertainty kills productivity. People don't need instant replies, they need predictable ones. Instead of winging it, aka defaulting to chaos, publish a simple rule. I check email at 9 a.m., 12 p.m., and 3 p.m., or I don't take meetings on Mondays because I'm with clients. The magic is in the head-nodding clarity. People stop expecting and start respecting. Close the floodgates. There should be moments when people can reach you and moments when they can't. Otherwise, you're drowning 24/7. The best way to enforce those on-off cycles? Plan your week in advance. If you don't, the week will make a bad plan for you, which leads to the next suggestion. Make weekly planning a ritual, not a wish. Pros don't win with fancy hacks. They win by doing the boring basics consistently. Thousands of our clients at Lifehack Method use weekly planning as their tip of the spear. If you want to win the week, you've got to plan the week. Prioritize your physical and mental health before it's too late. Motto Singh warns that work cannot take over your entire day in life. For a lot of people, that's what ends up happening. They don't know when to stop. Ultimately, your brain or your body will shut you down. People end up really physically ill and sick because they're not taking care of themselves. The infinite workday isn't your destiny. If you don't set boundaries, your tools will set them for you, and they'll always choose chaos. That's why the most competitive professionals and companies in 2026 won't be the ones who can stay logged in the longest. They'll be the ones who deliberately carve out time for deep work, compress their collaboration windows, and enlist AI to strip away drudgery. The infinite workday is real, but it's not inevitable. You can either accept it as the new default or treat it as the wake-up call it is. Leaders who redesign their calendars, enforce boundaries, and invest in human focus will not only outlast the chaos, they'll outperform it. That's all today from Fast Company. Talk to you tomorrow.
Spoken Layer.